All right, so do you guys want to hear a straight piped N54?
I don't wanna be caught up inside your self-righteous symphony. I would rather let this go than to bring it up again. But everyone I know, they're afraid of their own skin, with nothing left to show. We're afraid of where we've been. You gotta let me in. It's all in your
All right, so here we go. This is a 2009 BMW 135i with, of course, like I said 3 times already, the N54 engine under the hood. It's a twin-turbo inline 6, the first mass-produced turbocharged engine that BMW has ever made, and the second turbocharged BMW engine in a very long time. So basically, what the owner of the car, Mark, has done here is take a factory 135i and done a few kind of quality control upgrades, as well as some more power, a better tune, and a little bit more drivability. So basically, the factory twin turbos have been built or have been modified, so the internals are actually all aftermarket, and they've basically been chosen for better efficiency and to work better with the tune, so you can get up to, you know, like somewhere around 400 wheel horsepower safely without sacrificing too much spool time, which is the key with these engines apparently. I've only driven a couple cars with this engine before, and I've never driven a 1 Series, so I'm very excited for this. Before getting behind the wheel of this car, immediately I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, this is the perfect size car. This is so nice and small. Now, we did review the brand new 2020 M340i a couple weeks ago, and you know, that is a very nice looking car, very good sized car. You know, it's a full size sedan, but this is what a BMW sports car should be. This is the right size at the very least. The wheelbase is a little bit shorter. It's obviously front engine, rear wheel drive. If you turn traction off, you can get sideways. Not that you can't do that in the M340i, but as compared to a modern BMW, this is pretty much one of the smallest, fastest modern BMWs that you can buy that's still kind of tunable. Like, this is a 10-year-old car. It's probably right about at the very bottom of its depreciation curve right now, which means you can get into one of these from anywhere $10,000 to $15,000 Canadian. And what you get with that, or at least in this case, Mark has gone with the stripper model. Right? So it doesn't have navigation. It doesn't have that big annoying navigation screen that's, I mean, it's from 2009. It's probably pretty dated by now. A few pixels are showing and whatnot. So what you get is a BMW that's not trying hard to be German. You know, it doesn't need all the tech. It just needs an engine, a steering wheel. Like, these cars aren't too reliable from what I've heard from the get-go. Now, don't get me wrong. By not reliable, I don't mean... Oh my God. Not reliable, I don't mean they're not bulletproof. I don't mean these engines are not bulletproof. Obviously, as has been shown in the past with these, as well as the 335i of the E90 generation, E92s, they're pretty bulletproof. You can pump a lot of boost and a lot of timing, a lot of power into these engines, and it is no issue. It's very quick. And you're not really going to have any issues unless you go, obviously, above and beyond what you know you should be doing. I would not daily a car that was this loud. This is insanely loud. But out here on the back roads, first off, you get dirty looks like that person who just flipped me the bird. Thank you very much. What you do get though is awesome turbo spool through the exhaust, especially at low RPMs. And then once you get into the high RPMs and you're already in boost, you just get that really smooth inline six sound that you've come to expect from most modern BMW inline sixes. Now, another downside of a very loud exhaust like this, and I promise I'll shut up about how loud the exhaust is. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But the one downside is all the pedestrians around you who you're pissing off, if there are pedestrians, it makes you seem like you're going about 10 times as fast as you actually are, which is a major downside. But 7,000 RPM is red line, and you should definitely rev it up all the way to 7,000 RPM. Power does drop off a little bit. Now, Mark, the owner of this car, has had a couple tuning issues, or at least on the current tune. It was, when we were doing the chase shots, it was cutting boost, essentially. If you go over 21 PSI from the factory, apparently it has a hard boost cut, and I felt that more than a couple of times. The car felt really fast, actually very, very, very fast, a little bit faster than it does now. So I'm kind of driving it in a little bit of a limped kind of like set down tune right now, which is fine. At least I can rev it all the way to 7,000, which is much preferred. Even with traction on, I mean, it launches pretty good in first gear. The pull is pretty ridiculous. I've driven a lot of NA, you know, the classic NA BMWs recently, and in fact, we are filming an S54 swapped E30 tomorrow, which kind of complements the S50 swapped E30 we filmed recently. But nonetheless, a lot of BMWs I've driven recently. Drove the new M5. A lot of big ones though. This is, as I said, it's the right size. There's not too much turbo lag. It doesn't fall off too much at the top end. The steering wheel's nice and thick. It's small. The turning radius on this car, as a side note here, thinking about turning radiuses as I'm in the middle of the twisties, but it's really tight. It's a very practical car, you know, you can get into them cheap. Yes, you might sacrifice a little bit of the reliability. You might have to do a few preventative maintenance items that these cars are known for, you know, do your research. So I have driven a couple of M2s. I've driven a stock one up here, and then I drove the Impressive Wrap modified M2 down in LA, thanks to my good friend Sean at Impressive Media. And those cars were a lot of fun. It's basically the same car as this. It's a very similar car to this, just a little bit more modern, kind of updated suspension tuning, and a little bit more power. Although with the top tune in this car, at around 20 PSI, 21 PSI, it's definitely as quick, if not faster, than a factory M2, at least in a straight line. Very easy to drive, very easy to shift. The steering's pretty light. It is fun though. It is very fun. Some cars I feel like they kind of have a mind of their own, and they're kind of controlling a little bit more of the driving dynamic than I would prefer, as is in kind of the new M series, the new M340i, and a couple of others. But the 135 just gives you like just that extra bit of like, no, I'll let you do the driving. The driver is the driver in the 135i. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, but it's really true. And yeah, it's a good overall driving experience. I think for BMWs, anywhere between kind of like the E30 and this is the sweet spot. This is the sweet spot. I think the E92 M3 was the peak of the, not the peak of the M3, but the last great M3, I feel like. This being a stripper model, I mean, this is the 135 you want if you're gonna modify. If you don't care about the tech, you don't need nav. You can just get a phone mount, put Google Maps on, and you're good to go, right? And I think Mark's done exactly that. I think this is what you should probably do if you get a 135i. Honestly, it's almost like the turbos and the blow-off valves are kind of competing with the exhaust, like simultaneously. They're kind of just like barking back and forth at each other, trying to outmaneuver, trying to make their presence known and become louder than the next. It's really hilarious. You know, they just literally go back and forth and try to compete for your ear space. Funny car. It's a good car. It's a fun car. You know, it's an event. I would definitely consider buying one of these for a daily driver if it wasn't for everyone telling me that, you know, certain things go wrong. But here I am wanting an R33 Skyline GTR, and the RB26 has its own list of problems. So, you know, take what you're given and you make of your car what you will. Thank you so much, Mark, for letting me drive your car. I really appreciate it. Even though the tune wasn't quite as powerful as we initially expected, this was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Still very fast, very torquey. And to rev this out to 7,000 RPM is quite a joy. Oh yeah, this is making still like well above 300 at the wheels. Definitely. 100%. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Hit me up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled. You can see what we're kind of filming on a day-to-day basis and kind of see some behind-the-scenes stuff. And if you are in the Vancouver Lower Mainland area, or even maybe on Vancouver Island, hit me up on Instagram DMs or Marcus at roadsuntraveled.com, and we'll shoot before the weather turns to crap, kind of in November. And if you're in Southern California, we should be back down to California sometime in the winter, I think. So hit me up as well, and we can make something happen. So we'll see you guys next time.